Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Trump and Netanyahu agree on new 20-point Gaza peace plan. Palestinian Authority, EU and Arab states welcome the plan. Hamas yet to respond. Gaza peace plan proposes ceasefire, hostage release and phased Israeli withdrawal. Offers amnesty for Hamas members who surrender. Gaza to be governed on interim basis by a panel headed by Trump. Netanyahu expresses deep regret over Doha attack in three-way call hosted by Trump with Qatar's Amir. Claims Israel was targeting terrorists. Vows Israel will not conduct such an attack again. Federal shutdown looms in the US after Trump's talks with Democrats fails to yield any breakthrough. Trump administration threatens mass firings of federal workers if the bill to fund federal operations not passed by midnight. And in a historic series win, Nepal registers the first ever win against a full member West Indies, claims the three-match T20 series with a game to spare. After days of speculation, the White House on Monday released a 20-point plan for ending the nearly 2-year conflict in Gaza, releasing hostages held by Hamas and outlining the Palestinian enclave's future. The White House released a 20-point document that called for an immediate ceasefire, an exchange of hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, a staged Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Hamas disarmament, and a transitional government led by an international body. The White House peace plan for Gaza proposes an immediate end to the conflict between Israel and Hamas, while pointedly excluding the Palestinian militant group from any future governing role. Hamas is yet to comment in depth, saying the group is yet to receive the plan. Assuming both sides agree to a detailed list of conditions, the end of fighting will be accompanied by the release of all Israeli hostages, both dead and alive, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting the deal. In return for the release of hostages, Israel would release 1,250 Palestinians currently serving the sentences and 1,700 Palestinians in Gaza detained since the conflict started. For every Israeli hostage whose remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Palestinians. US President Donald Trump said on Monday that it is time for Palestinian militant group Hamas to accept the 20-point peace proposal that he agreed to with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu regarding the future of Gaza. Speaking at a joint press conference with Netanyahu, Trump said that Netanyahu had agreed to back the US-sponsored Gaza peace proposal. Trump said they were beyond very close to forging an elusive peace deal and that he hoped Hamas militants would also accept it.
Today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region.
Meanwhile, Netanyahu endorsed Trump's proposal to end the conflict in Gaza, describing it as a critical step towards peace in the Middle East. Netanyahu added that further withdrawals could be linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but Israel would maintain a security perimeter indefinitely. Netanyahu warned that if Hamas rejected the plan, Israel would act independently to achieve its goals.
I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East, and I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Key Muslim nations on Monday lent their weight to backing a plan by US President Donald Trump to end the conflict in Gaza, even as some Palestinians described the proposal as a farce. 8 Arab or Muslim-majority nations, in a joint statement, welcomed the role of President Trump and his efforts aimed at ending the conflict in Gaza. The countries include Egypt, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates and Turkey. Also signing the statement were Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Indonesia and Pakistan also joined the statement. Indonesia has offered troops as part of a future Gaza force. French President Emmanuel Macron hailed Trump's commitment to ending the conflict in Gaza. Macron also called on Israel to commit resolutely to it. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office said the UK strongly supported Trump's efforts to end the fighting. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government also hailed Trump's diplomacy. In a statement, it called on all sides to seize this opportunity and accept the plan. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephol said the Trump plan offers a unique opportunity to end the terrible conflict in Gaza. Up next, we take a look at US President Trump's 20-point Gaza peace plan. Israel will immediately suspend military operations once the two sides agree, and Hamas then will have 72 hours to return all October 7 hostages, including the remains of those who are dead. Israel, in turn, will free 250 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences, 1,700 Gaza residents detained, and the remains of 15 Palestinians for the remains of each dead hostage. Israel will eventually withdraw from Gaza in phases. Trump himself will become the chair of a transitional board of peace in Gaza that will include former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. The board will consider exciting development ideas and turn the territory into a special economic zone with preferential tariff rates. Trump has previously spoken of developing property in the Mediterranean territory, where virtually the entire population of 2 million has been displaced. Contrary to the calls by right-wing Israeli government ministers, Palestinians would not be forced to leave Gaza and Israel will not annex the territory. Instead, the plan says that the transitional body will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. Hamas, which took control of Gaza in 2007, will play no role in future governance. However, Hamas members will be granted amnesty if they commit to peaceful coexistence and decommission their weapons. Hamas members will also be allowed safe passage to leave Gaza. The plan calls for an international stabilization force to deploy immediately in Gaza with support from Arab states. The force will train Palestinian police in Gaza and work to ensure security with Israel and neighboring Egypt. Indonesia has previously voiced willingness to contribute troops. The plan does not rule out a Palestinian state, despite Netanyahu's long-time vows to fight one, including after recent recognition of a state of Palestine by France, Britain, and other powers. The plan also suggests allowing a role for the Palestinian Authority once it has completed its reform program and points to a French-backed initiative. But Netanyahu, in remarks alongside Trump, said he saw no role whatsoever for the Palestinian Authority without it undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. Anamika Pandey, DD India. All right, DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us from New Delhi to get us more. Akshay, now we've seen this 20-point plan that has been put forth by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President Donald Trump. It has been welcomed by Palestinian Authority, EU and Arab states, but at the same time, Hamas has not yet responded on it. How feasible does this plan look?
Well, it seems that, as far as this plan is concerned, there is some finally some sort of positive, news coming in from the region, especially as far as a concrete plan is concerned. Because earlier, the kind of ceasefires and the kind of plans that have been mentioned by several countries that have been trying to bring about a ceasefire between the two warring factions. This time there is a solid roadmap that has been planned, and it's not just the parties that are in the conflict that have agreed to most of the plans of this de-escalation process, but also other world powers, including India, have supported this plan that have clearly laid out a roadmap to ensure that there will be an end to the fighting. Now, the 20-point program also points out to the fact that caters to the demands of both the sides as far as the radicalization process of the Hamas and the region is concerned. There will be peacekeeping forces there that will be backed by the Arabs as well. So there is no trust lost there. Plus, there will be other initiatives that will be taken as in terms of rebuilding the place. The Israeli forces backing out from the region in a phased manner, and demands of both the sides have been kept in mind as far as this peace plan is concerned. However, like you rightly mentioned, Hamas has still not responded to it. But it seems that it's highly unlikely that Hamas will be in a position to make any kind of demands as far as this particular conflict is concerned. So there is finally some solution to this years-long conflict. In fact, decades-long, if you look at it from a longer perspective, coming to an end, and some solution, at least on paper, is in sight. So it seems a good news for the region and for the world as well. Back to you.
All right, it's a good reason for the world, but at the same time, Akshay, we do see some skepticism on part of Hamas because it has not yet responded. At the same time, it says that it has not yet received the plan. Having said that, help us understand, this looks positive, but then eventually it is positive only when all the stakeholders agree to it. With Hamas not still responding, will this plan finally see the end of the tunnel?
Well, it seems like it, because Hamas is broadly supported by many of the Arab nations, including Qatar, where many of the leaders were staying in Doha of Hamas leadership. As far as the Arabian nations are concerned, they have also seen the wrath of this conflict escalating just outside the borders of Palestine and Israel. So it clearly is not only a threat to these two countries, but also to the entire region that was very close to getting engulfed in an entire full-blown conflict. So they do realize that if Hamas has no backing, it has no leverage to pull here. So it seems that the countries there will stay true to their words and bring about an end to the conflict, as we know, between the two factions.
All right, Akshay, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. So that was our correspondent, Akshay Dongre, spelling out more clarity on the 20-point plan that has been put forth by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President Donald Trump. It has been welcomed by Arab countries, by the EU and by the Palestinian Authority. But at the same time, Hamas is still to respond to it. We'll have to see how it shapes out, how the issue shapes up in the next few days. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu apologized to Qatar for strikes against Hamas in Doha. Netanyahu, in a trilateral phone call hosted by US President Donald Trump, expressed deep regret to Qatar Prime Minister Al Thani over Israel's missile strike against Hamas targets in Doha. Netanyahu admitted violation of Qatari sovereignty and affirmed that Israel will not conduct such an attack again in the future.
I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen. It wasn't our target.
During the call, Trump expressed his desire to improve Israeli-Qatar relations. The leaders accepted President Trump's proposal to establish a trilateral mechanism to facilitate dialogue between the nations. Qatar Prime Minister welcomed these assurances and emphasized Qatar's readiness to continue contributing meaningfully to regional security efforts. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, thousands protest in Madagascar's capital over power and water outages, clashing with police as calls for President's resignation grow. Wildfires ravage one-third of Namibia's Etosha National Park, prompting military deployment. And the first major European exhibition exclusively devoted to the work of Virgil Abloh opens in Paris. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Federal shutdown looms in the U.S. after Trump's talks with Democrats failed to yield any breakthrough on Monday. U.S. President Trump met with top Democratic and Republican congressional leaders in a last-ditch effort to prevent a shutdown before an October 1st deadline. The two sides left no closer to resolving Democrats' demands to extend health care subsidies and reverse the Medicaid funding cuts included in Trump's signature tax legislation passed earlier this year. The Senate is expected to vote on the House-passed bill to extend government funding on Tuesday ahead of the 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday. That is the deadline to avert a shutdown. The bill would keep the government open for another 7 weeks while Congress finishes its annual spending bills. Despite the Republican majority in the Senate, GOP leaders need at least 8 Democrats to vote for any funding measure to overcome procedural obstacles and opposition from at least one Republican Senator, Rand Paul of Kentucky. A shutdown would delay the release of key economic indicators, including the monthly employment report scheduled to be released on Friday, and at least temporarily furlough hundreds of thousands of federal workers, while other government employees are forced to work without pay to continue essential services. Vice President J.D. Vance, after a White House meeting with congressional leadership on Monday, said he thought the U.S. government would shut down due to lack of agreement between Republicans and Democrats.
Well, first of all, we have to keep essential services functioning as well as possible if the Democrats shut down the government, and Russ has been tasked with making sure that's possible. We have disagreements about tax policy, but you don't shut that government down. We have disagreements about health care policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't use your policy disagreements as leverage to not pay our troops, to not have essential services of government actually function. You don't say the fact that you disagree about a particular tax provision is an excuse for shutting down the people's government and all the essential services that come along with it.
As shutdown looms, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called Republican proposals on health care a 5-alarm fire.
We are ready, we are willing, we are able to find a bipartisan path forward and reaching a spending agreement that actually keeps the government open, but meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being, related to lowering the high cost of living as opposed to allowing tens of millions of Americans to experience dramatically increased health care costs. What we will not do is support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. This is a five-alarm fire in terms of the Republican-caused health care crisis. And that's why Democrats are determined to turn things around.
President Trump shared an AI-generated video on Truth Social mocking the Democrats' congressional leaders hours after he met with them in negotiations to avert a government shutdown. The video, which fabricated the voice of Senator Chuck Schumer at a news conference on Monday afternoon, accuses Democrats of trying to give free health care to undocumented immigrants to gain their support. In the video, the Democrats' House Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, who is black, is pictured with a mustache and wearing a sombrero. The US president shared a video on Saturday that showed him speaking from the Oval Office about a historic new healthcare system, but the video and announcement were not real, and the post was deleted from Trump's Truth Social account just 12 hours later. The deep-fake video posted on Saturday on the US president's Truth Social account was styled as a Fox News segment and featured his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, promoting the White House's launch of a historic new healthcare system. The phony clip shows Trump announcing that every American will soon receive their own MedBed card. MedBed, tied to the QAnon conspiracy movement, is an imaginary medical device equipped with futuristic technology that adherents say can cure any ailment from asthma to cancer. It is not clear where exactly the video originated from. Russia said on Monday that its military was analyzing whether or not the United States would supply Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine for strikes deep into Russia. Russian officials say it could trigger a steep escalation. Tomahawks have a range of 2,500 kilometers, easily far enough to hit Moscow and most of European Russia if fired from Ukraine. For the Kremlin, the escalatory risks of US involvement in firing such missiles deeper into Russia are clear. Putin has previously warned that Russia reserves the right to strike at military installations in countries that let Ukraine use their missiles to hit Russia. Though President Trump has not made a final decision yet, but the comments come a day after US Vice President J.D. Vance said that Washington was considering a Ukrainian request to obtain Tomahawks.
And you asked this question about Tomahawks. It's something the president's going to make the final determination on. What the president is going to do is what's in the best interest of the United States of America. That's the driving light between his foreign policy decisions, between his defense policy decisions, and that will be the same heuristic that we apply to how we answer this question about Tomahawks. I'll let the president speak to it.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said on Monday that he is ready to declare a state of emergency over the threat of US aggression. In a televised address, Maduro told the countrymen that the process to declare state of emergency has begun. He further said that the initiative is being taken to save the people if Venezuela were to be attacked by the US.
The process began to consult the constitutional decree to declare a state of emergency due to an external threat, in line with the Constitution to protect our people, our peace and our stability. The decree would have wide-reaching effects if Venezuela were to be attacked militarily by the United States.
En todas las direcciones.
Michigan's governor on Monday asked Americans to lower the temperature after the latest violence in her state as authorities search for a motive in a Mormon church attack the day before. According to the police, the suspect, identified as Thomas Jacob Stanford, 40 years of age, from the nearby town of Burton, was shot dead in a parking lot outside the building about 8 minutes after the carnage began. In a press conference, Governor Whitmer said that at this juncture, speculation is unhelpful and it can be downright dangerous.
But I want to caution everyone, while we are working hard, while the good men and women who are working hard are doing so with due diligence, at this juncture, speculation is unhelpful and it can be downright dangerous. So just ask that people lower the temperature of rhetoric. Keep your loved ones close and keep this community close to your hearts.
Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina on Monday sacked his government following days of deadly unrest, which the United Nations said has left at least 22 people dead. Police have responded with a heavy hand, firing tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse the crowd as they have gathered for a third round of youth-led protests against water and power cuts, with many calling for the president's resignation. The three-day demonstrations, inspired by Gen Z protests in Kenya and Nepal, represent the largest protests Madagascar has seen in years. In a television address, Madagascar President Andry Rajoelina said that he had decided to terminate the functions of the Prime Minister and the government.
In accordance with Article 54 of the Constitution, I have today taken the decision to dismiss the Prime Minister and dissolve his government. Pending the appointment of the new government, the current government team will continue to serve on an interim basis and handle day-to-day affairs until a new government is appointed.
The United States Security Council will vote on Tuesday on whether to step up UN-backed security mission in Haiti into a full-fledged force with troops. Currently, just 1,000 police officers, mostly from Kenya, are deployed in Haiti under the multinational security mission to support the overwhelmed Haitian police in their fight against rampant gang violence. The new force could comprise a maximum of 5,500 uniformed personnel, including police officers and military troops, unlike the MSS, which is just law enforcement. The boost would be accompanied by a creation of a support office within the UN to provide the required logistical and financial support. Haiti, the poorest country in the Americas, has long suffered at the hands of violent criminal gangs. The situation has worsened significantly since early 2024, when gangs drove the then Prime Minister Ariel Henry to resign. The country, which has not held elections since 2016, has since been led by a transitional presidential council. In Indonesia, rescuers are racing against time to find out survivors after an under-construction building of a boarding school compound collapsed in East Java province on Monday. At least one person was killed, while 38 others were reported missing. Around 100 people have been rescued, with nearly 80 injured who were taken to a hospital. A rescue team worked through the night to rescue additional students feared to be trapped under the rubble. Rescuers say they saw more buried bodies under the rubble, indicating that the death toll is likely to rise. Students were performing afternoon prayers in the school building, which was undergoing an expansion, when it suddenly collapsed on them. Let's get to weather updates now. At least 13 people have died after heavy rain and strong winds from former typhoon Boloi flooded roads, knocked off roofs in central Vietnam before it weakened to a storm. According to the National Weather Agency, Boloi weakened into a depression heading for Laos after having made landfall early on Monday and had whipped up waves as much as 8 meters high as it moved along the northern central coast. Among the missing are fishermen whose boats were washed away off the province of Quang Tri, while another fishing boat lost contact, the government's disaster management agency said. Meanwhile, workers were seen on the streets cutting down large trees that blocked traffic, while locals began the cleanup after assessing the damages. Heavy rains swamped streets in Spain's Zaragoza and Valencia regions on Monday, forcing emergency services to rescue dozens of people. The eastern provinces of Valencia, Tarragona and Castellón are on red alert for heavy rains, with the National Weather Agency warning of extraordinary danger. The cleanup of mud and debris left by the heavy downpour started overnight, and residents said they had been terrified by the strength of the storm, as it comes almost a year after floods in the Valencia region killed more than 230 people. Wildfires have destroyed about a third of Namibia's Etosha National Park, roughly 20,000 square kilometer tourist destination known for its wildlife, the presidency said. According to authorities, the wildfires began a week ago in the southwestern part of the park and is thought to have been caused by suspected charcoal production activity on bordering commercial farms. The wildfire forced the government to deploy 500 soldiers on Sunday to help contain the fire, believed to have started at a charcoal production site. The Environment Ministry had said earlier that at least 9 antelopes had been killed in the blaze, while the Prime Minister said an elephant had also died. A retrospective on designer Virgil Abloh opened in Paris on Tuesday. Titled Virgil Abloh, The Codes, the exhibition showcases his work across 2 decades, highlighting his unique blend of fashion, art and architecture. The show runs alongside Paris Fashion Week and aims to celebrate Abloh's groundbreaking influence. You're watching DD India News Hour, waiting for a short break. But after the break, India slams shameful vandalism of Mahatma Gandhi statue in London ahead of International Day of Non-Violence. India's Culture Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat leads at UNESCO's Mondial Cult Conference in Barcelona. Telangana's Batukama Festival sets 2 Guinness World Records with vibrant dance and community celebration.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick look at the top stories now. Trump and Netanyahu agree on new 20-point Gaza peace plan. Palestinian Authority, EU and Arab states welcome the plan. Hamas is yet to respond. Gaza peace plan proposes ceasefire, hostage release and phased Israeli withdrawal. Offers amnesty for Hamas members who surrender. Gaza to be governed on interim basis by a panel headed by Trump. Netanyahu expresses deep regret over Doha attack in 3-way call hosted by Trump with Qatar's Amir. Claims Israel was targeting terrorists. Vows Israel will not conduct such an attack again. Federal shutdown looms in the US after Trump's talks with Democrats failed to yield any breakthrough. Trump administration threatens mass firings of federal workers if the bill to fund federal operations not passed by midnight. And a historic series win. Nepal registers first ever win against a full member West Indies. Claims the 3-match T20 series with a game to spare. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has concluded the high-level week of the 80th anniversary of United Nations General Assembly in New York. The last meeting that Jaishankar held was on the sidelines, and it was with Canadian counterpart Anita Anand. The minister termed the appointment of envoys to Delhi and Ottawa as a welcome step to rebuild the ties between the 2 countries. He added that he looks forward to welcoming Foreign Minister Anand in India. At last, Jaishankar, along with the entire Indian delegation that attended the UNGA 80 in New York, posed for a picture alongside the Mahatma Gandhi bust at the UN headquarters. Among the team were the Indian envoy to UN, P. Parvathananeni Harish, Secretary West C.B. George, Secretary E.R. Sudhakar Dalela, India's Deputy Envoy to the UN in New York, Yojna Patel, and MEA's Joint Secretary, UNES, Aquino Vimal. India and the European Union will hold the next round of negotiations for a draft free trade agreement in Brussels from 6th to 10th of October. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal had last week said that 2 sides are determined to work for a balanced and mutually beneficial FTA. The minister had also expressed India is becoming a key engine of the global economy and that a strong economic partnership with India will add significant value to the European Union, just as Europe's technology and scale will benefit India's growth story. India and the European Union held the 13th round of trade talks in September with the European Commissioner for Trade, the Agricultural Commissioner of the European Commission, and Piyush Goyal in attendance. EU has termed the partnership as consequential for the long haul that can facilitate each other's rise while managing the differences. The High Commission of India in London has strongly condemned the shameful act of vandalism of the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at Tavistock Square and said that it has taken this up strongly with the local authorities. Taking to social media platform X, the High Commission of India in London said, and I quote, "The High Commission of India is deeply saddened and strongly condemns the shameful act of vandalism of the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at Tavistock Square in London. This is not just vandalism, but a violent attack on the idea of non-violence 3 days before the International Day of Non-Violence and on the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi. The Commission has taken this up strongly with local authorities for immediate action, and our team is already on the site, coordinating with authorities to restore the statue to its original dignity." India's Union Minister for Culture, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, took centre stage at UNESCO's Mondia Cult Conference in Barcelona, where over 150 ministers of culture participated from all over the world. Earlier this year, India chaired the Asia-Pacific Regional Consultation, feeding regional priorities into Barcelona's negotiations. India is pushing for a standalone global goal for culture in the post-2030 UN agenda. Take a look. Mondia Cult is the world's biggest cultural policy conference. The 2025 edition brings together thousands of participants to set the global agenda for culture in the years ahead. The event highlighted cultural rights, the role of culture in peace and democracy, AI's impact on culture, education, and climate emergency. The Indian delegation put forth their agenda, highlighting collaboration on cultural heritage, digitalizing and advancing cooperation on heritage, and the creative sectors. The day concluded with a final document rather than a new declaration that all attending ministers are expected to adopt.
India and Spain have a wonderful tie-up relations, and that relations are so long, historical, and bilateral also. And this year, very significantly, the coming year, 2026, India and Spain are taking out as a dual year to promote culture, to strengthen culture, to strengthen tourism, to strengthen bilateral relations in all formats. India and Spain enjoys a very good trade relationship also. And I wish that after 2026, when we are celebrating dual year between both the countries, that is going to be very fruitful.
Gajendra Singh Shekhawat held a string of bilateral meetings with his counterparts from many nations from across the globe, including Iran, Norway, Greece, Colombia, Japan, and Spain.
I see for India and Spain, this visit is very important, for two reasons. First of all, Honorable Minister has come, for participation in a UNESCO-related conference, which is called as Mondia Cult, which happens, every 4 years. And Honorable Minister is also going to have, two interventions. First is, cultural rights and also, economy of culture. At the level of Honorable Prime Minister of India, His Excellency Shri Narendra Modi, and President of Government of Spain, it has been decided to celebrate the next year as India-Spain Year of Culture, Tourism and Artificial Intelligence.
The conference aims to review progress and forge common policies that embed culture with sustainable development. The day's agenda underscored India's push to scale cultural exchanges, museum and heritage collaboration, with Barcelona providing the stage for refreshed partnerships between India and Europe, Africa and Latin America. Atman Sandhu's report for DD India, Barcelona. India's Minister of Railways, Ashwini Vaishnav, announced the launch of new railway projects between India and Bhutan on Monday. In a press conference, Minister Vaishnav outlined key features of the project, which will extend from India's railway network. The initiative involves an investment of approximately 4,033 crore rupees for a rail line spanning 89 kilometers.
This project is basically connecting two very important cities of Bhutan. One is Gelaphu, as Foreign Secretary shared with us. This is being developed as a mindfulness city, and second is Samse, which is an industrial city. The two projects will take off from the network of Indian Railways at Kokrajhar and Banarhat. The investment which is envisaged at this point of time is about 4,033 crore rupees, and the total length is about 90 kilometers, to be precise. 89 kilometers of railway network will be created.
Minister Vaishnav also emphasized on the strong economic ties between India and Bhutan, noting that the new rail network will contribute to strengthening Bhutan's economy.
India is the largest trading partner of Bhutan, and most of the EXIM trade of Bhutan is done through Indian ports. Therefore, it becomes very important to have a good seamless rail connectivity for the Bhutanese economy to grow and for the people to have better ways of access to the global network. So that's why this entire project has been taken up. And Samse and Gelefu, they have very important significance in the way the Bhutanese economic growth is being planned.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. India's Union Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu inaugurated the Udan Yatri Cafe at Vijayawada International Airport on Monday, aiming to offer affordable meals to passengers. Emphasizing that no travellers should go hungry, the minister highlighted positive feedback on food quality and pricing. In Jammu and Kashmir, a mega public outreach camp was organized at Sangarwani as part of the ongoing Seva Parv celebrations. The event brought a wide range of government departments and services under one roof to facilitate on-the-spot registration, enrollment of beneficiaries, scheme consultations, grievance redressal and dissemination of information. Staying with Jammu and Kashmir, third Basoli festival began in the Kathua district with focus on traditions of the Ramayana. The event features themed exhibitions, booklets, folk art, national competitions in dance and singing, local sports and a host of art and cultural activities. The event will honor local folk artists, artisans and literateurs. Telangana's Sarur Nagar Stadium came alive with colour, rhythm and jubilation on Monday as the government hosted a spectacular Bathukama festival that captured the essence of state's rich culture and community spirit. The celebrations not only reflected tradition but also made history as the event achieved 2 Guinness World Records, one for the largest Bathukama and the largest gathering of singing and dance performances. 1,354 women from self-help groups moved in perfect synchrony. Their graceful dance steps echoed the joyous rhythm of the festival. We're heading for a short break here, watching DD India News Hour. But after the break, Moody's keeps India's Baa3 ratings unchanged with strong economy, stable outlook. And in sports, India to face Sri Lanka in the opening match of the ICC Women's One Day International Cricket World Cup in Guwahati. Maha-Ashtami is being celebrated today with full devotion and fervour as part of the 9-day Shutdown Navratri festival.
This week on Defence Dynamics, from the rails of India's heartland, Agni Prime raises, carrying a nuclear edge on the move. As the nation strengthens its shield with Anant Shastra QR SAM regiments, a new layer of defence takes shape. With the Kaveri D1 engine igniting India's aerospace dreams, the future of power is truly homegrown. This Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to updates from the world of business now. Moody's ratings on Monday affirmed India's long-term local and foreign currency issuer ratings and the local currency senior unsecured rating at Baa3 with a stable outlook on the back of robust economic growth and sound external position. The stable outlook and rating confirmation indicate India's continuing credit advantages, including its substantial and rapidly expanding economy, robust external standing, and reliable domestic funding sources for ongoing budget deficits. Moody's also maintained India's short-term local currency rating at P3. The agency's latest review comes amid recent improvement in India's fiscal and economic outlook, following other global agencies' positive assessment, including S&P Global Ratings upgradation of India's sovereign rating in August. The Nasdaq Composite and S&P 500 regained some of its footing after a week on Monday as investors shrugged off the uncertainty of a potential US government shutdown and hawkish remarks from a Federal Reserve official. One of this week's major focus points for Wall Street is a standoff between Republicans and Democrats over funding that has raised the prospect of a government shutdown beginning on Wednesday, the first day of the US government's fiscal 2026. The S&P 500 gained 0.26%, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.48%, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.15%. US President Donald Trump on Monday ordered significant new tariffs on wood and various wooden products, including lumber, timber, kitchen cabinets, and upholstered furniture. In a proclamation, Trump said that the United States would begin charging a 10% tariff on foreign softwood lumber and timber used in a wide variety of building materials. He also announced a 25% tariff on kitchen cabinets, vanities, and upholstered wooden furniture. The new rates are set to go into effect from October 4th. The duties will increase on the 1st of January to 30% for upholstered wooden products and to 50% for kitchen cabinets and vanities imported from countries that fail to reach an agreement with the United States. YouTube has agreed to pay $22 million to settle a lawsuit filed by President Donald Trump after it suspended its account, in fact, his account over the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. The online video platform is the latest big tech firm to settle with Trump after he went to court in July 2021 over his suspension. Major platforms removed Trump at the time due to concerns that he would promote further violence, with claims that voter fraud caused his loss to former President Joe Biden in 2020. The 79-year-old Republican took social media companies and YouTube to court, claiming he was wrongfully censored. From business, let's turn focus to sports now. India will be chasing history as they face Sri Lanka in the opening match of the ICC Women's One-Day International Cricket World Cup in Guwahati on Tuesday. Indians have an opportunity to break their trophy drought as they were runners-up in 2005 and 2017. The tournament, co-hosted by India and Sri Lanka, runs from 30th of September to 2nd of November. Board of Control for Cricket in India Secretary Devajit Saikia said that hosting of the Women's Cricket World Cup matches in Guwahati will further boost the popularity of women's cricket in the region. He hoped that Indian team will soon have the Asia Cup trophy and medals. Our correspondent Suchitra spoke with him ahead of the India-Sri Lanka opening match. Let's listen in.
We have with us Devajit Saikia, BCCI Secretary. Sir, many congratulations. Guwahati is going to host the first match of the Women's World Cup. What are your expectations from this tournament?
There is a very good response from the people. Already almost out of 39,000 capacity, about 35 tickets were already sold out. So I hope the people will come and be a part of the opening match and the opening ceremony. Although the opening ceremony initially it was planned to be done in a very big, in a carnival atmosphere, but because of the sudden demise of a very popular singer of this region as well as of India, Jubin Garg, recently on 19th of September. So we are going to do the opening ceremony in a very solemn manner. Top singers of our country, Shreya Ghoshal ji, Angarak Papan Mohanto, Joy Borua and Shillong Chamber of Commerce, they are going to perform here. But all their songs will be dedicated in the name of Jubin Garg. It will be a tribute to Jubin Garg, and I hope the tournament will start in a proper manner. This tournament will bring lot of girls to the stadiums, and which will ultimately result them to take the game of cricket in the coming times.
And one question on the controversy in the Asia Cup presentation. India has won the trophy, but the trophy is somewhere with Pakistan. So what is the stand of BCCI? How are you going to pursue this matter?
So BCCI is extremely happy that our boys have done extremely well. The whole team remain unbeaten in all the 7 matches of Asia Cup this year at Dubai. Now this trophy also should have come to our BCCI headquarters in Bombay, but because of some person's personal interest, he is unauthorizedly keeping the trophy. That is his problem. But the scorecard, as well as all the people who were in the stadium, as well as watching the match live on television, they all knew who is the winner. The scorecard says that India won the match by 5 wickets. So, being champion, the trophy may not be with us, but the crown is with us. So the whole country is very cheerful for the performance of India.
So BCCI Secretary Devajit Saikia, he's confident that Women's World Cup 2025 is going to do wonders for women's cricket in India. And for the Asia Cup presentation controversy, he says that the trophy and the medals will soon be with Indian cricket team. With camera person Ashish Sharma, this is Suchitra reporting for DD India in Guwahati.
India is hosting World Para-Athletics Championships for the first time, and the event is witnessing participation from around 110 countries. DD India's Deepika had an exclusive conversation with Australia's Rhiannon Clark, who talked about her experience being in India. Let's listen in.
And we have with us Clark from Australia. Clark, how was your event?
It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed racing on that track. It was a lot of fun. It was nice and warm out there. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Is this your first time in India?
It's actually my second time in India. I came for the Grand Prix back in March and I really enjoyed it then and I'm enjoying it now.
How are you finding the facilities here?
Perfect. I love this track. It is very nice. It's the perfect conditions of it and the warm-up track is also amazing.
And what is your next target now?
My next target is the 200 metres. I've got that in 2 days' time. I'm going to go out there and smash it and hopefully see I can run a PB.
All the very best to you.
Thank you.
And there you heard Clark and how excited and happy she is to be in India and participating at the World Para-Athletics Championship in New Delhi. This is Deepika reporting for DD India.
And Nepal created history on Monday, beating West Indies by 19 runs in Sharjah for the first ever win against a full member across formats. Nepal, who are ranked 18th in the world, had never played a T20 series against a full member nation before this week, but have won the 3-match series with a game to spare. Windies' total of 83 is the lowest a full member nation has scored against an associate, and the 90-run winning margin is also the biggest for an associate against a full member. It comes after West Indies' Test team suffered a crushing defeat by Australia in July, being bowled out for just 27, the second lowest score in Test history and the worst since 1955. Nepal has beaten Afghanistan in a T20 international in 2014, but Afghanistan were an associate back then. All right, news just coming in. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has welcomed President Donald Trump's announcement of a comprehensive plan to end the conflict in Gaza. On a social media post, Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "It provides a viable pathway to long-term and sustainable peace, security and development for the Palestinian and Israeli people, as also for the larger West Asian region. We hope that all concerned will come together behind President Trump's initiative and support this effort to end the conflict and secure peace." So this is the latest reaction coming in from India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has welcomed the viable path to long-term and sustainable peace, security and development for the Palestinian and Israeli people, and also for the West Asian region. The Prime Minister says that we hope that all concerned will come together behind President Trump's initiative and support this effort to end conflict and secure peace. Prime Minister's post refers to the Gaza peace plan that has been put forth by Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, a 20-point Gaza peace plan. Palestinian Authority, European Union and Arab states have welcomed the plan. However, Hamas is yet to respond to it. Earlier in the bulletin, we got you the highlights of the plan. It's a 20-point plan and it aims to end the nearly 2-year conflict in Gaza, release the hostages held by Hamas and also outline the Palestinian enclave's future. Talking of this document, it calls for an immediate ceasefire, exchange of hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, a staged Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Hamas disarmament and a transitional government led by an international body. So this was the gist of the 20-point program that has been put forth by Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And up on screens, we have the reaction coming in from the Indian Prime Minister. Our correspondent Ravi Dhiman joins us. Ravi, get us the significance of this. Prime Minister has also endorsed the 20-point plan that has been put forth by President Trump, even though it has been welcomed by the Palestinian Authority, by the EU and by the Arab states, but Hamas is yet to respond to it. How feasible does this plan look?
Well, this plan does look feasible, and Preeti, going by Prime Minister's reaction on X, we can say that India has wholeheartedly welcomed this announcement, and India has decided to support this plan of President Trump, which is a comprehensive document and an effort to end the Gaza war. And the Prime Minister has, given a detailed support for this plan on the X platform, and has said, in fact, that it's a viable pathway to a long-term sustainable peace in the region. And not only that, Prime Minister has gone one step ahead and expressed hope that all concerned, that is, all stakeholders in the Gaza conflicts, will come together and support this initiative by President Trump and, ensure that the conflict ends and peace is secured in the region. And interestingly, Prime Minister has also tagged President Donald Trump and the office of President Trump, President of the United States, in his post, and that signifies that India is wholeheartedly supporting this initiative by the U.S. President. And since it is in West Asia, it is in Asia, and whatever happens there is of direct consequence to the world peace in that region, and consequently it has its ripple effects in the entire Asian region and the world. India is concerned about there, and Prime Minister has made it clear that this is really a viable solution for a long-term sustainable peace and development for not only the Palestinian but also for the Israeli people and for the larger West Asian region.
All right, Ravi, thank you for joining in with that explanation. That was our correspondent, Ravi, putting into perspective for us the Indian government's reaction on the 20-point plan that has been put forth by President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, which aims to end the conflict in Gaza. And also this has been in fact welcomed by the Palestinian Authority, by the European Union, as well as the Arab states. However, Hamas is yet to respond to this peace plan. So we'll have to see how the days ahead pan out. Meanwhile, we'll turn focus to the Navratri festivities back home. The 8th day of Navratri, also known as Maha Ashtami, is being observed across India with great fervour and festivities. Devotees offer prayers and worship Mahagauri, an incarnation of Adi Shakti, symbolizing purity, serenity and tranquility. On the 8th day of Shutdown Navratri 2025, devotees thronged temples and pandals to offer their prayers and seek blessings. That brings us to the end of this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, keep watching DD India News Hour. Before that, we also have the QR codes flashed on the screens for the Apple and the Google Play Store. You can download the respective QR codes for the latest news and updates on DD India. As of now, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.